Have you ever noticed how time feels different after 70? When you were young, summers seemed endless. A year felt like a long road. Now, the weeks fly by, the seasons slip through your fingers, and you can hardly believe how fast another birthday rolls around. Friends move away, loved ones pass, children and grandchildren build lives of their own. Even your body reminds you daily that each choice you make matters more than it used to. At this stage of life, it's no longer about adding years to the calendar. It's about adding life to the years you still have. And that's why today's message is important. I want to share 3 things you should never allow into your life after 70. Things you should never say, never do, and places you should never go. But I'm not going to list them in neat order. I'll start with the one most people ignore, then move to one that touches your physical health, and finish with the most important of all, the one that can change everything before it's too late. Before we dive in, if you find comfort in honest conversations like this, hit subscribe. We share stories that don't just pass time, they help make sense of it. First, never go where your spirit feels small. By this age, your energy is precious. Like a savings account you can't afford to waste on the wrong things. And nothing drains it faster than spending time in places that leave you feeling invisible, unwanted, or diminished. Maybe it's a relative's home, where you're treated like a burden. Maybe it's a social group you've been part of for years, where the talk is all gossip and complaints. Maybe it's a community where you've given so much, but you leave every gathering weighed down instead of lifted up. When we were younger, we put up with it. We swallowed our feelings to keep the peace, or stayed out of obligation. But after 70, the cost is too high. Every visit to a place that dims your light is a day of your life spent in shadow, and you can't buy those days back. Research confirms what many of us already know. Seniors with positive social environments live longer, heal faster, and think more clearly. But beyond the studies, we feel it in our bones. When we're with people who lift us up, our hearts beat lighter, our steps feel steadier, and our days seem brighter. I remember meeting George at a senior center in California. For decades, he met his high school friends at the same diner. At first, it was comforting, but as the years passed, the conversations soured. We spent the whole meal complaining, he told me, about our aches, our families, the news. I'd leave more tired than when I sat down. One afternoon, George didn't go. Instead, he wandered into a woodworking class at the community center. The smell of fresh-cut pine filled the room, sawdust floated in the air, and the sound of laughter replaced the grumbling he had grown used to. That day, he built a simple birdhouse. Nothing fancy, just 4 pieces of wood and some nails. But when he painted it bright blue and yellow, he felt like a boy again. He told me, "That little birdhouse gave me more joy than 10 years of coffee at the diner." So, friends, before it's too late, step away from the places that shrink your soul. Go instead where you feel alive, valued, and seen. The second lesson is harder because many of us were raised to give. For decades, we worked long hours, lifted heavy loads, sacrificed our comfort to care for others. That habit doesn't fade. But one of the most damaging mistakes after 70 is ignoring your body's warnings just to avoid disappointing someone else. Maybe you carry heavy bags because you don't want to bother your children. Maybe you stay standing at a party, even though your back aches, just so people won't think you're weak. Maybe you eat food that upsets your stomach because it was offered with love. But here's the truth. Your body is your only permanent home. At this stage of life, healing takes longer. Sometimes it doesn't come at all. Protecting your body isn't selfish, it's wisdom. I'll never forget meeting Ruth. She was 78, gentle and sharp-minded, but recovering from back surgery. She loved her great-grandson more than anything. Every time he came running toward her, she scooped him up, even when her doctor warned against lifting. I didn't want him to think Grandma couldn't love him the same way, she told me. One day, she slipped a disc again. The recovery took nearly a year, filled with doctor visits and sleepless nights. Through tears, she admitted, "If I had just pulled him into my lap instead, I could have saved us both so much pain." Her story carries a lesson. Saying no doesn't mean less love. Sometimes it means protecting yourself so you can be present longer for the people you love. I also remember John, a retired mechanic in his early 80s. He prided himself on fixing things around the house. But climbing ladders and lifting heavy tools eventually cost him a fall that fractured his hip. "I wanted to prove I still could," he admitted, "but what I really proved was that I didn't know when to stop." Every time you say no to something that harms your body, you are saying yes to more mornings without pain, more afternoons of laughter, and more evenings of independence. Those who love you will respect those limits, and those who don't, well, they don't get to decide how you live. Finally, the most important lesson. It's not about where you go or what you do, it's about what you say. At this stage of life, your words aren't just words, they're instructions to your mind, your body, and your soul. When you say, "I'm too old for that," your brain believes you. When you whisper, "It's too late for me," your heart slows down its dreams. When you insist, "I can't," your body stops trying. I once met Elias, who began learning piano at 85. He laughed as he told me, "I spent my whole life saying I didn't have the talent." Then one day, he whispered, "Why not try?" That small change of words opened a door. 10 years later, at 95, he played "What a Wonderful World" at his granddaughter's wedding. He didn't play perfectly, but when I saw his hands trembling on the keys and the tears in his eyes, I understood. Joy had found him because he dared to change his words. Or take Maria, who was 72 when she picked up watercolor painting for the first time. The first day in class, she muttered, "I'm too old to learn this." The teacher, a man in his 60s, smiled and said, "No, you're right on time." Today, her paintings hang in her local library. She told me, "I wish I had spoken kinder words to myself sooner." I wasted years believing the lie. That's the danger of negative words. They don't just describe limits, they create them. But hopeful words can build bridges. Science backs it up. Optimism strengthens the heart, boosts the immune system, and lengthens life. But beyond science, you know it in your bones. Your words are seeds, and each day you choose whether to plant flowers or weeds. So, never let your words close doors on your future. Instead, speak sentences that open them. "I'm still learning. I'm open to trying. My best days might still be ahead." Look closely, and you'll see that all three lessons are about protection. Protecting your spirit from places that dim your light. Protecting your body from actions that wear it down. Protecting your mind from words that cage it in. After 70, every day is a page in the final chapters of your story. You don't want those pages filled with regret about where you went, what you did, or what you said. You want them filled with joy, discovery, peace, and love. I'll share one last story. My friend Harold is 81. For years, he told himself he was too old to travel, too old to meet new people, too old to start fresh. Then his granddaughter said, "Grandpa, you taught me to ride a bike when I was 7. Why can't you learn something new at 77? That the one question cracked the wall he'd built around himself. Harold booked a group trip to Italy. He walked cobblestone streets, stood in front of Michelangelo's David, and ate pasta in a tiny family restaurant where the owner hugged him like an old friend. When he came home, he didn't just bring back souvenirs. He brought back a sparkle in his eyes I hadn't seen in decades. I almost missed this, he said softly, all because of the words I told myself. That's what's at stake here. Not just years of life, but life in your years. So let me ask you, which one of these 3 do you need to start with today? Do you need to step away from a place that shrinks your spirit? Do you need to protect your body by saying no more often? Or do you need to change the words you speak to yourself so you can open new doors before it's too late? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments which of these speaks to you most, and maybe even one you wish you had learned earlier in life. Because your story might be the spark that helps someone else choose wisely before time runs out. And remember, time is not waiting, but while we have it, we can still choose well.